Hey everybody, we're back with a brand new week here on the Cabral Concept. Excited to share with you one of my favorite books from when I was younger called Walden by David Thoreau. You might be familiar with it. Really popular book. Yes, it was published back in 1854, but the material in it 175 years later, more than that now, is probably more important than ever. And David Thoreau spoke about this thing called brain rot. Even back then, even before TV, internet, all of these different things that can take our attention, he spoke about this thing about being distracted, being overly busy. And I'm going to get exactly to why he went to then live in the woods for over 2 years in this place called Walden or Walden Pond. Now, I've had the pleasure of actually hiking Walden Pond many times. I've used to swim the pond way back in the day when I was doing sprint triathlon training. Beautiful open water swim. Very, very popular destination, lots of traffic. But the interesting thing is when you walk into Walden, they have a replica of David Thoreau's cabin. Now, here's the thing though, it isn't actually his cabin or where he stayed. If you look and you'll be able to find it, you can do a little online search. You can hike to the original destination. You can actually see some of the stones that laid the foundation. Just a little aside there, I love being able to, kind of the archaeologist in me, right? That's someone who used to love to look into that type of work. Love to be able to say, oh, this is actually, 150 years ago. This is where David Thoreau lived for a couple years as he was retreating to nature from society. Now, I'm not saying that you need to go and live in the woods for a few years in order to be able to find yourself or to remove this brain rot. But what I wanted to share today was 5 specific tips that I try to use. And again, I'm not perfect, but if I can keep them to the forefront of my mind and I can also teach my clients and our community as well, I think it's going to help us a lot. And that is because we are distracted more than ever, not just by advertising media. That's been now that way for decades on TV and when you walk outside with billboards. But now that we have this phone, right? This phone allows us at any second of the day to be plugged in and to be bombarded, not with just media and advertisements, by actual content. And now our brains are getting used to this, not 24/7, but let's subtract 8 hours from being in bed, 16 hours a day of constant stimulation. And when we're constantly stimulated with our eyes and our ears and, basically visually, auditorily, we are spiking our dopamine. And that's not necessarily a bad thing every once in a while, but when it's constant, what happens is then we need that to begin to feel alive. Without the constant stimulation, without the constant busyness, just busy being busy, you're not necessarily doing anything. You're just scrolling on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or whatever the social media app is of the day, and you're stimulated by it. And then your body says, oh, I want more of that. I want more of that connectedness, even though I would say it's loose connection, right? With the world around you, what's going on, the stories, the events, really begins to drag you in. The problem is that type of constant stimulation is really quick. It's seconds, right? You're scrolling. What's new, what's interesting. And it doesn't allow then for you to do a little bit more of what we like to refer to as deep thinking or deep thought. And that's when you have quiet. That's when you have solitude. That is when you go outside for a walk and not plugged in. That you're actually allowing yourself to sit with your own thoughts. And that is becoming harder and harder to come by, especially for this next generation that was just plugged in from the beginning. So if we're not allowing ourselves to sit down with a book, sit down with a journal, walk without being plugged in, we're missing a lot of what life wants to speak to us about. Because we download things from the environment, and I'd like to believe we download things from the universe, from God, from others speaking to us. And those are kind of those random thoughts that we get, the serendipitous-based experiences. But if we're too distracted, we miss out on that. And what I've really realized is that you really do need to empty that cup in order to be able to then fill back up. Because if you have a cup and it's constantly full, you're just overflowing all the time. You're overwhelmed, right? You're anxious. And if we empty that rain barrel, to use that analogy, then we can allow more to fill it up. So if we can immediately begin to unplug for certain parts of the day and our phone is just off limits, then we can say, okay, well, what else is this time going to be used for then? If not with filling it with social media, etc. And so the nice thing is then you can sit with that for a while and say, well, what is it that I want to create in my life? What do I want to have more of? And that's when we can start to explore the things we've talked about on previous Mindset and Motivation Mondays of setting the goals, whittling those down to why it's meaningful to you, and then beginning to put it into action. Now that action, fortunately, will take place then instead of some of the mindless based scrolling. Now, I'm not saying that you can't scroll Instagram for 20 minutes a day. I don't have an issue with that at all. But anything more than that, you have to ask yourself is what am I really getting out of it? Right? Is it me connecting with others online, or is it just me scrolling? Again, for the sake of scrolling and being sold to, or being, I don't know, maybe sold also, not just a good, but a life that isn't real. People a lot of times put their best face and foot forward, truthfully, and they're not showing you about all the challenges they might be going through. Or if they're showing you challenges, oftentimes they're curated. They're not showing you really the struggle that might be going on below that. So what I wanted to share with you right now was what are 5 ways to reverse this brain rot? And brain rot is simply being too plugged in, too distracted, busy for the sake of being busy, and you not working on you, but rather distracted. So the first one is that digital detox window. So I know that people say, let's go a week without a phone. All of that's fine. But if you just jump back into it after a week, it's kind of like, okay, helpful, but what we want is whenever we do a functional medicine detox, we want to take something from it. So if you were drinking 5 coffees a day or 5 energy drinks a day and you did the detox, now you're back and you're maybe doing 1, maybe 2 cups of coffee, right? You're not doing 5 anymore. You're taking something from it. You're getting better every time. So I don't have a problem with a larger digital detox window, but for most people, it's not realistic. What I would say is that we just go phone free for a period in the morning or phone free for a period in the evening. What I like to do is when I start my day, yes, I'm doing something motivational. That actually might be phone-based, but that's what it is. I'm not on Instagram and I don't know where else. I'm listening to a specific curated podcast or video that I already have for myself. The second is that there's no phone. I basically don't even look at social media till lunch. Like, don't look at it. That might not work for you. Again, I'm not saying that you need to copy this window, but that's not necessarily maybe the right thing for you. For me, it is, because I like to get right into work. I like to work with my team. I don't like to be necessarily distracted as like, oh, now this is now taking my thoughts, right? Because it's not just you're on there for 20 minutes. You might have seen something that then stays with you for the next 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. That's kind of robbing you a lot of the rest of the day, keeping you distracted. So I try to do that then late afternoon, and then, maybe for a few moments after dinner, although I'm getting better at that, that's for sure. And that's because my phone is away from 5:30 to 7:30, sometimes 8 o'clock. So that's daughter's time, family time, like that's that time. Realistically, I never pull my phone out at that time unless I'm waiting for a message that I have to respond to. That's basically it. And then it's just going to be a quick one. So think about the window that works best for you. Your windows may be different, but what I would say to you is choose the windows that are just social media free or just distraction free. Because it could just be like I have the chess app on my phone and I have to keep deleting it every once in a while because I might just be like, oh, I want to play chess. Yeah, chess is great. All of those things are fun, but it's at the basically mistake of me using that instead of being able to move something forward in my life, which is just farm. Or I'm not looking to be, a grand champion inside of chess. And so since I'm not looking to do that, that should take a backseat maybe to the weekends or maybe some fun time. I don't need to be doing that during the work week. So again, you'll find your window that needs to be distraction free in order you to move forward with your goals. The second work is then schedule in those deep work-based blocks. So since I've already scheduled my deep work blocks from essentially 8:30 in the morning all the way through 11:30 when I'm about to have my lunch, then that's a 3-hour block where it is team meetings, it is the directives, it's the strategies that we're looking to do. It's typically not my content creation. That's a little bit after lunch, and that's because I want to be able to set the day, where it needs to be. I want to be able to have my teams give me feedback. I respond to it. We make sure that we're set up for the day and things look good to go. So that's that time. And then again, at lunch, like I said, I'll be on for a few minutes, check things out. I'm again, enjoy myself. And then after that deep work block, then I'm going to be getting into content. I'm going to be writing, which I'm working on my next book. I'm going to be doing podcasts, all of those. Again, I love that work, but I can't be distracted then with social media. The third one, this is huge, and it is nature time. So one of the best ways to reset your nervous system is to get out into nature. I shared that just a week or so ago on what it does for your white blood cells and natural killer cells to be able to combat cancer. But one of the best things is for your mind. and your nervous system. And it allows new thoughts to flow freely. It's one of the best things that you could do. Go for a walk in the woods, go for a run in the woods, go for a hike. Just get out there. Even if it's not, you don't have like a wooded area or a trail near you, just get outside. Like that's one of the best things that you can do. If you put your headphones in like I sometimes do, I'm not listening to anything. I'm just trying to kind of muffle the outside world as I'm walking and just breathing and then allowing thoughts to come. It's a little awkward at first, but trust me, it'll absolutely be worth it. All right. The fourth one is that if you are giving yourself that time to scroll, then just make sure you set a time limit on it. So like 20 minutes works. If that's what you want it to be, 15 minutes, maybe it's only 10 minutes. That's what you get. And then for other things that are actually a little bit more satisfying and can bring you some real value, maybe it is like, again, your hobby, like playing chess, or it is a word puzzle, or it's Sudoku or something like that you're trying to train for your mind. Great. Just kind of set an alarm that's scheduled during the day. Maybe it's once I finish lunch, I'm going to do a Sudoku. Or once I finish lunch, I'm going to give myself 10 minutes of this, this, and this. So just schedule those. And then that way you won't be like every time you get a free moment, you just pick up your phone to endlessly scroll. Again, I would do the same exact thing. That's just kind of human nature and how we're wired for that dopamine. No, I could use a dopamine hit right now, right? So it's like schedule that, and then it's already in your phone. And then the times that it's not scheduled, do your best not to then waste your time, because it is your time. It's your life. Don't waste time. Don't waste your life endlessly scrolling. And the last one is this: get a little bit more comfortable with becoming still. So practicing stillness is what it's called. So it might be breath work. It might be meditation. It might be, I know going for a walk's not being still, but it's not more inputs. It's walking, and it's basically just allowing nature, again, if you can get into the trails and into nature, to download for you. So you're not focused on one specific thing, because that's the nice thing about nature, is that there isn't really the pattern interrupts. It's the foliage, right? The trees, and it's the blending, and it kind of lets your guard down. And then of course, if you see something out of place, that's what your eye catches. So in one of these trails that I go for, some of the trees are actually labeled, and your eye will immediately pick up that sign, and it picks up the sign because it knows it's out of the ordinary. It has those 90-degree angles, which just doesn't happen in nature. So these are all things that we can learn to do. I love to be able to just take a little time to be able to read some of my daily readers, to write in my journal, to be able to work on breath work. But those things then enable you to get better at then pushing your phone away and say, not right now, this isn't the time. I'm allowing myself to do that end of day, or, when I'm cleaned up at night, whatever it might be. That's the schedule that you were looking to get into, so that before you know it, you're not at an hour, 2 hours or more of potentially scrolling online. Why? Because that 1 or 2 hours, you only need a half hour of that, an hour maximum, to accomplish essentially anything that you want in your life. An hour every day multiplied over 365 days is phenomenal movement forward towards whatever goal you're looking to achieve. Becoming a certified health coach, taking back your health, 365 hours of exercise for the year, 1 hour a day, even if it's just a specific walk or sauna or weight training workout or high intensity interval training. You can get back so much of your day if you just take that schedule back in your own hands. So that's what I wanted to share with you. Again, this goes back to 1854 in Walden. If you haven't read it before, it's a great book, old school book, of course, but a beautiful publication that's really stood the test of time. So this is how we brain rot detox. One more way to do it. And again, hopefully this was helpful. Feel free to leave your best ways in the comments. I would love to check those out. Take care, and I'll be back tomorrow with a brand new Cabral Concept. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything. Functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.